What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Yammie Noob here, back at it once again through the power of the internet, here to bring you another exciting episode of It Came From Craigslist. Today we're looking at motorcycles from beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Once I started doing some research on Atlanta, I was thinking that I was gonna find a bunch of kind of ratty bikes like I usually do, but actually Atlanta kind of surprised me in that there's a shit ton of dirt bikes, which makes sense because Atlanta's kind of like really forested, I think, kind of hilly, right? There's some mountains, I think, north of somewhere around there. I think the Appalachians are around there. And so, yeah, I thought that I'd find a bunch of ratty bikes, but really there's a bunch of dirt bikes, there's a lot of cool old bikes, and some absolute gems. Before we jump into it though, I did just want to shout out the video that I put out recently, the motorcycle creation story video. I worked really hard on that video. I thought it was super funny. I had so much fun making it. I would love if you were to check it out. You can check it out right here or in the description below. Let's jump in. Okay, starting this off. This is one of my absolute favorite bikes ever. I researched this bike when I was doing my 7 best motorcycle sounds videos, and I can't believe there's one for sale in Atlanta. I've never seen one for sale anywhere. It's really pricey, but I think it's kind of worth it. This is the 1979 Honda CBX Street Fighter. If you don't know anything about the CBX, all you need to know is this picture right here. Where is it? There it is. This is a 6-cylinder motorcycle, guys. This is a straight 6-cylinder motorcycle that sounds basically like an F1 car. Take a listen. Yeah. One of the best sounding, most interesting, quirky motorcycles ever. This was like in the late 70s when the sort of UJM trend was taking off, and it was before they kind of made like big bore, 4-cylinder motorcycles. They were experimenting with, if the market would accept kind of bigger 6-cylinder motorcycles. I think the Gullwing was also introduced at this time with the 6-cylinder motorcycle. Really interesting bike. And, this is more of like a sweet little wholesome It Came From Craigslist video, because this actually is super awesome. So this guy wants 15 grand for it. That sounds like a lot of money, but honestly, for the quality of this bike, I might even say that it's worth it. The CBX is really rare. I have never seen one for sale, and I looked to find some for sale when I was researching my original video. Can't really find them. So this guy says, selling my personal 1979 Honda CBX that I built a few years ago, only has 7 miles on the Honda crate motor we put in, a GSXR 1000 rear end, CBR 1000 front end, so this thing probably handles pretty damn well, Ducati biposta tail, CR round slide carbs, lots of cool little custom parts. Yeah, sick bike. Good job, Atlanta, coming in strong. 9 out of 10 for this one. Very cool. Very cool, Atlanta. All right, up next we have a 212cc mini bike, $500. That's a pretty good deal for a mini bike. 500 bucks buys you a little bike, that's pretty great. 212cc is actually a pretty big motor for a tiny little thing like this. It probably feels really fun to ride. I can't tell if it has like an actual transmission or if it's just like a single speed. I think it is just a single speed. This guy says, I have a Motovox mini bike with a 212cc Predator on it with some upgrades, header, high flow air filter, carb rejetted, some old pictures, looks a little different now. Pretty sweet though. I mean, 500 bucks is a really fair deal for that. I would totally pick it up. Solid 7 out of 10. Moving on. It wouldn't be an It Came From Craigslist if I didn't find some weird oddball thing in one of these postings. So this guy's selling 6 used gas scooters and 1 electric for parts or fix for $500. This is one of the weirdest things I've seen. This guy's just selling 6 beat up electrics or beat up gas scooters. Why do you even have so many of these? I feel like you buy these for like your kid when they're like 10 or 11 years old to just like goof around on a little bit, but this is so funny. What the hell? It says 6 used gas scooters, 1 electric parts are fixed. We'll separate or make an offer. Parts are missing. There's enough pieces to make them go. Bought as a project but don't have time to mess... Excuse me. Bought as a project but don't have no time to mess with them. You can kind of feel, based on the way it was written, where this guy might be living out of, and the type of person that owns 6 gas scooters. Interesting price. I would never buy this, so 4 out of 10. Up next, we have a 1982 Peugeot 102 SP moped for $600. I've actually ridden one of these. My buddy Nick's friend Austin, I believe, had one of these in Austin. That was kind of a confusing sentence, but they're like these little pedal bikes that also have like a little gas engine on them. They're really, really weird. I've ridden one once, and you get them up to about like 20 miles per hour and you feel like you're just gonna fucking die, you know? This guy says, museum quality, great for any collector or ride, 170 miles, one owner, just out of storage after 36 years. Detailed and service, runs great. I will say though, for as crazy as like, here's the thing, I look at a lot of these Craigslist and most of them, you know, are completely overpriced, they're ridiculous. Atlanta's pricing is actually on point. $600 for this is really fair, I think. No shipping, trades, or low balls. You keep your low balls at home, goddammit. No one wants to see them dangling around out there. He doesn't want to see them. No PayPal either. Moving on. 97 YZ250 for $1,000. That's a steal. That's a steal to get a 250cc dirt bike for $1,000. That's pretty good. It's a 97, so, you know, it's kind of aging a little bit, but, you know, great little project dirt bike, I think. This guy says, 97 YZ250 runs, but clutch is not working. Clutch basket is fine, so I think it needs clutch plates. Bike also has a small leak from the left radiator. Front brake needs to be rebuilt or replaced, and the rear tire has a tear in the sidewalk. Tear in the sidewalk. Bike runs well and has new plastic seat covers and other parts. Okay, now I understand why it's $1,000. It's kind of beat up. But honestly though, I mean, you just take a couple things and you can make this thing into a really great little bike. It just needs a new tire, a couple other little things here and there, and you could probably make it run. Sweet little two-stroke too. Moving on. 2006 Suzuki needs nothing, $1,000. This is 100% a stolen bike. There's no way you're selling a 2006 Suzuki. Is it a GSXR 600, 1000, 750? I can't tell, who knows? But yeah, there's no way this is $1,000. This is a scam. So moving on. So this one I thought was really interesting, mostly because, you know, people overlook these bikes because they're kind of ugly and a little bit old. So this is a 2000 Suzuki Katana 600. This guy wants $1,200 for it. The reason he wants $1,200 for it is because it doesn't run. He says there's a video from it last week that's running. So that kind of sucks, but I will say, man, this is probably the cleanest Katana I have ever seen in my goddamn life. Most of these bikes have just been, you know, ridden and beat up and kind of, you know, destroyed a lot because they're cheap and accessible. This bike is so ridiculously clean. This is crazy. This is cleaner than the FZ that I had. This is so nice. So I mean, if you can get it running, that's a great deal for $1,200. It probably has a minor issue with it, so that's pretty good. Again, Atlanta's pricing is just on point. Up next, we have a 1979 Kawasaki KZ400. Wants $1,200 for it. Again, great price. That's really not that expensive. It is in, you know, it is in pretty bad shape. The rear light's kind of busted up, but I think with like $400 or $500, you can make this thing run pretty great. This is 9,000 miles. That's not a lot. Will run, but needs a battery. Shifts up and down from neutral, but will not go into further gears. Oof. Plastic cracks in certain areas. Did the best of photos to show that. Needs a new side cover. Current shifter's bent. Great bike, just needs some TLC. I would agree it does need some TLC. That really sucks about the transmission, but you can probably just put in a new transmission, not a big deal. Pretty cool bike, would make a fun project. Up next we have the 1985 Kawasaki GPZ 750. So I covered the GPZ in my Kawasaki history video for the Ninja. The GPZ was like the sort of grandpa to the current Ninja line. Whenever it came out, it was really amazing because it could like do these crazy top speed that no one had ever seen before. Really, really advanced motorcycle. Nowadays it obviously looks super dated, but at the time this thing was just rocket ship, like space-aged performance, and really, really cool. This is the longest Craigslist description I have ever seen. I'm gonna try to read it as quick as I can. There's some kind of story with it or whatever. It says he bought the motorcycle 15 years ago, he sold it 13 years ago, and it showed back up for sale a month ago, so he bought it again. That's kind of weird. It sat dormant the whole time because it was still registered in his name. It wasn't set up, he rebuilt the brakes, it wasn't running, and he got it to run. So yeah, for $1,100, it's a non-running GPZ 750. I mean, GPZs are really cool bikes. You're not gonna get a bunch of like head turns on them because they do just like look like a super old bulky 80s bike. They don't have that cool like 70s UJM aesthetic, but they, you know, makes a really fun project. So this listing I thought was interesting. This guy's selling a 1980 plus 1970s Yamaha XS1100, 2 bikes for one price, $2,000. So the XS1100 is a really weird bike because it was shaft driven. Let me double check that actually. I'm almost positive it was, but let me see. Yeah, so this was, so you have to realize in the late 70s, early 80s, there was this crazy UJM sort of like trend happening where people just kept putting bigger and bigger engines in these upright, like standard looking motorcycles. I did a whole video about this, so that's why I know about it. But it was a bit interesting because it was a shaft driven bike. And you know, if you know anything about motorcycles, shaft-driven bikes, you know, their maintenance schedules are a lot longer than chain-driven bikes, but they are a lot heavier and a little more complicated than chains. That's why chains have kind of superseded shaft-driven bikes in most cases in the modern day, but kind of a quirky feature about the XS11. This guy says, I'm putting out my 2-year project I completed summer of last year. I love this bike, but I have some other projects I'd like to focus on. Purchased the bike in 2016, blah, 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 da, da, da. So this is basically just someone's project bike. The photos are a little low quality, ratty, interesting. I can't really get a good feel for what the bike looks like, honestly. It looks different in every photo. Kind of cool though. I mean, I feel like the issue with buying someone's project bike is that you don't have a good baseline to work with, right? If it's been kind of jerry-rigged in all kinds of different ways, if you know, oh, I put this relay in this way and I put the fuse box over here and I did this and that, you don't have a good baseline to kind of mod and understand the bike. You have to kind of know what the guy did to it and then go from there. And it's always gonna kind of be this hodgepodge thing, which is why I've always told beginners to kind of stay away from someone's project bike. Try to find a really clean stock bike as much as you can, because then if something goes wrong with it, you can always go back to a forum and kind of research it and understand it. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. Kind of an interesting listing though. So I thought this one was really, really cool. This is a CB750 that's been like fully restored. The guy wants $7,900 for it, obviously because it's a complete redo. I thought this one was really cool because it looks brand spanking new. I really, really love super clean restorations like this. I mean, it's super cool whenever you see like someone's, you know, bespoke kind of cool project build that they did with the bike and they did this and that to it, cool cafe build or like a street tracker, right? But there is something about doing like a perfect period correct restoration on a bike. I mean, that kind of attention to detail is just phenomenal. And this thing is damn near perfect. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful build. I'm actually shocked this is on Craigslist because it's so nice. This guy says full off-frame restoration, one of a kind, candy body paint, new NOS Honda top end, all receipts for parts and motor machine work on hand. That's really cool, 90% new. Call only, no text or emails will be answered. This guy's probably a little bit older. I never pick up my phone ever. Bike needs nothing and runs excellent. Some of the new items are DID wheels and spokes, tire tubes, handlebars, and switches. Yeah, this guy just went all out and did the whole thing. I'm surprised he's selling it, honestly, because it looks like this took hours and hours and hours of work. But, you know, some people just do this for fun and then sell it and then move on to the next project. They don't want to keep it forever. Really cool, really, really cool. Good job, Atlanta. So this one I thought was really, really cool, mostly because my dad used to have an RD350. So this is a Yamaha RZ350, it's Kenny Roberts, and everything works. That's the name of the listing. He probably mentioned Kenny Roberts because Kenny Roberts rode a race spec RZ350 back in the day. He was a motorcycle racer. So these bikes are really interesting. They're 347cc parallel twin that's 2-stroke, so they kind of sound a little wild. They're like definitely one of those old school like 2-stroke street motorcycles that just have a ridiculous top end power band. Really, really neat. It's cool that this bike is actually for sale here in Atlanta because you don't see these that often. So this guy says, 1984 Yamaha RZ350, complete water cooled and raced by Kenny Roberts. Well, I don't know if this one in particular was raced by Kenny Roberts, but the model was raced by Kenny Roberts, so that's kind of funny. As you can see, she isn't the prettiest gal at the party, but everything works and has brand new tires, chains, battery plugs, and proper jetting. Yeah, man, I mean, I don't think anyone's expecting you know, a super old bike like this to be pretty, but I mean, this is super cool. This is super, super cool. And you know, you take this on, you do a little project with it, that'd be super awesome. I think $3,300 is really fair for this, honestly. Up next, we have a Honda GL500 for 3,100 bucks. Super interesting project build. Says the year's in 1981, so it's a bit older. This thing looks completely custom, completely done up. If you were to buy it, you'd definitely want to see some receipts or, you know, something that says what was actually done on this bike. But you could just pick it up and then just kind of go from there. But like I was saying earlier, you never know with project bikes. You always want to be a little careful because someone's project might be your biggest nightmare. But really kind of weird one-off build here. I like how it's like, it has like the short bobber tail, but it's got the sort of like more upright bar, so that's kind of cool. That's not bad, it's not bad. And last but not least, we have the Baja Doodlebug mini bike for 280 bucks. Atlanta's pricing is on point. This is the best pricing I've seen in any Craigslist market. Nothing has been overpriced from what I've seen so far. This is a 97cc mini bike, $280, new carb, air filter, and throttle cable. Pick it up, go nuts, get yourself a little Doodlebug adventure. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope you liked it. If you liked, smash the like button. If you want, leave a comment below. I try to read all of them. And that's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys next time. See you later.